Hello everyone, today's video is about boons, conditions, and boonstrips in a world versus world Zerg setting. The first boon I want to talk about is stability, as this is the most vital boon to survive the enemy Zerg. Stability prevents CC such as stuns, knockdowns, and has a unique aspect to how it does that. This is because although it stacks, and every stack can prevent CC, there's a grace period of 0.7 seconds between stacks where you can't lose another stack or get CC'd. This grace period makes abilities that give multiple stacks, such as Stand Your Ground from Firebrand, significantly stronger than ones that only give one stack. Firebrands are typically the ones responsible for party stability, and it's one of the big reasons why they're so desired in every party. Typically, 3 or more stacks of stability provide enough time for a reactionary dodge, as that gives 1.4 seconds of CC immunity, meaning anything beyond 3 stacks starts to become too much stability. Because it's so hard to remove stability from enemies with only CC, the boonstrip mechanic in the game, which removes all stacks at the same time, is going to be the main threat to party stability. To counter it, you need to know how it works. There are 2 types of boonstrip, the regular ones that everyone except Necro has, and corruptions that are unique to Necro. Regular boonstrips, as they follow a very predictable format of the last in, first out. This means that the last boon you applied is the first boon that's removed, making the counter to this boonstrip simply applying important boons you don't want to lose first. Boon corruption is random chance, meaning if you have 6 boons, it's a 1 in 6 chance to strip the one that you want. The counter to this is simply spamming as many unique boons as possible to the party. To be effective at countering both types, you always want to provide the important boon first, and then apply as many other boons as you can until you're either safe or have to reapply the important boons. Generally, stability should be the first boon provided on the push, and immediately followed by aegis and anything else that can be provided before the Zergs clash. The next boon that I want to mention is regen, as it's not a super important boon that you will die without, but it's still only one that gets reapplied so often. It has a unique characteristic of when reapplied, it keeps the highest healing power, but increases the duration. This means that if a 0 healing power herald pulses regen, it'll keep the 1500 healing power scrapper that applied the regen strength, but will still give the extra duration to that scrapper's regen. The next 3 boons I want to talk about are all very similar in that they prevent damage. Protection and resolution are simply the same boon for different types of damage. One reduces power damage, which is generally just the hit itself, and the other one reduces condi damage, which isn't as important in Zerg fights as most guilds do not run condi damage, but it has bonus effects on classes like Dragon Hunter. Aegis is the 3rd boon, and it's very strong since it can block a large chunk of enemy damage if timed correctly. In large-scale fights like 50 vs 50, you would think you take a large amount of hits when the bomb from both sides happens, but it's really only 5 to 6 hits, since most of the damage gets spread out between players in the Zerg. If you can provide 3 to 4 Aegis on those 5 to 6 hits, you are effectively blocking half of the damage that the enemy Zerg is doing to your party, making it much easier for your party to survive and do their damage. Another aspect of Aegis is that it can block CC skills, so even if you don't have stability, you might be able to get by with Aegis if you're lucky. The next boon is resistance. This is one that is heavily involved with conditions, because it prevents any non-damaging condition. This is probably the strongest boon next to stability, because there are a lot of conditions that don't do damage, but do a lot of cause a lot of issues to the party. One of them would be immobilize. It's an extremely strong, and your best answer to it is having resistance, since cleansing it is going to take too long if you're caught in enemy damage, or you're going to be too far away to get cleansed. Having resistance will prevent you from stopping at any point from immobilize. Cripple, slow, and chill are all conditions that will slow you down. They won't make you stop moving, but they'll slow you down to the point where you can't keep up a tag. Resistance and super speed both nullify their effect, and normally if you have resistance, they'll get cleansed by the time your resistance wears off, so it's very good to time your resistance when you have these conditions. So There are two conditions that do what stuns do, which are fear and taunt. They make you lose control of your character and make you walk a certain way. So fear will make you walk away from the enemy, taunt will make you walk towards the enemy. They are classified as conditions, so resistance will prevent them from doing anything, and they can get cleansed off, unlike other stuns. Stability does block them as well. Blindness and weakness are the two strongest conditions that won't lower your survivability, but will heavily lower your damage. As I said before, there's probably only 5 to 6 things that will hit your party in bomb. Blindness will make one of them completely nullified, as they will miss, and weakness is going to make it so your DPS does not crit and does half damage. This is effectively an 80% damage loss to most DPS classes. It is very important to have resistance when the damage is starting to drop, as it'll prevent your damage from being weakened by blindness or weakness, and it'll prevent your party from actually dying to any movement impairing conditions. Next is the offensive boons. This includes might, fury, alacrity, and quickness. Having all of them increases damage output significantly, but the main ones that should be focused on are fury and quickness. Fury gives 20% crit chance and other bonuses depending on what traits you have, but generally you always want someone to be providing a lot of fury to the party because it's a large damage increase. With quickness, firebrand, and scrapper combo, they apply a lot of defensive boons and cleansing and healing. They also apply quickness. It should be enough quickness for the party together. With might, it is very hard to upkeep maximum might, as one boonstrip will remove every stack, just like stability. So you have to either have a class that pulses a ton of might, or not get boon ripped as often. Alacrity is a little bit more rare to find. There are some meta classes that can pulse enough alacrity to upkeep it in a party, but generally they're not considered 100% meta like other classes are. Lastly, there are two boons that are rather similar to the utility instead of offensive and defensive. They don't provide any damage reduction or anything like that, but they do provide a utility of movement. These are swiftness and vigor. Swiftness is a boon that you always want to have before a fight starts. Out of combat, swiftness is equal to super speed, so you want to make sure that your party has swiftness out of combat, and in combat you should have it through your scrapper. Starting off a fight, if you're looking at the enemy and you're still regrouping, take a look at your party, make sure they have swiftness. If you're the firebrand, you can drop your staff 3 on your feet, or you can cast in advance really quick. Swap out one of your utilities for that. With vigor, this one is much more rare to find in kits, but if you can figure out a way to give vigor, it'll significantly increase the party's survival, as it gives a lot of access to dodges. If you combine this with energy sigils, your party should have 2 dodges on every engage, as the downtime between engages is enough for vigor to refund 1 dodge every single time, and then your energy sigil will refund the other one. As a last thing, I'll show which classes normally provide which boons in comps. They aren't all of the classes. They aren't all the boons that the class provides, but they should be the ones that are expected of the class.